Continuing on with part 2 of chapter 4, section 1 notes. So, the founding fathers, they drew up the Constitution, they got it narrowed down to the Bill of Rights, and they said, okay, first 10 amendments, we really can't figure out, we have 5 that we feel are very important, and we just can't prioritize 1 through 5, so we're just going to make all 5 of them part of one amendment. You go to just about any town in the United States and you walk up to someone and you say, excuse me, what is the First Amendment? And they're probably going to say it's freedom of speech or freedom of the press or freedom of religion. And then you're going to say, what's the Second Amendment? And then they're going to say, well, it's whichever one of the other 2 are left. And then the Third Amendment. And they're going to say, it's the last one that they hadn't said yet. When in reality, speech, religion, press, petition, and assembly are actually all part of the First Amendment. Now, what a lot of people fail to realize, though, is that in the First Amendment, these freedoms are not absolute. And what I mean by that is, there are some exceptions. There are times where you can actually get into trouble for doing what you think you have the right to do. And so with freedom of religion, for example, the exception for freedom of religion is separation of church and state. What this means is that you can teach about religion in a public school, but you cannot teach religion in a public school. So, for example, when you take Mr. Adams' world history class as juniors, one of the things you're going to learn in his world history class, one of the things you're going to study is you're going to study the Roman Empire. And the Catholic religion was the basis for the Roman Empire. Well, the Roman Empire became so large that eventually in the eastern half of the empire, they decided they were going to follow another Christian religion, and that was Orthodox. So the western part of the Roman Empire was Catholic, but the eastern part of the Roman Empire was Orthodox. Now you see, that's not teaching religion, that's teaching about religion. However, if I were to say, okay, class, today we are going to learn what the 10 Commandments are, or today we're going to learn what the 5 pillars of Islam are. That is teaching religion, and that is something that you cannot do in a public school. Now, I say a public school, and the reason for this is public schools are financed by tax dollars. And depending on where you're at, you're going to get some money from the federal government. You're going to get some money from the state government. But the bulk of the money that you're going to get is going to come from local tax dollars. Well, even within your local tax area, you're going to have people that are going to be of all different religions. Most everyone in the United States, it does depend on where you live though, is going to be of a Christian religion. But you're going to have some people that are going to be Jewish. You're going to have some people that are going to be Hindu. You're going to have some people that are going to be Muslim. You're going to have some people that are going to be Seventh-day Adventists. You have some people that are going to be agnostic. You're going to have some people that are going to be atheists, which means they don't believe in any religion. But the thing about this is they don't get to control where their money goes. They don't get to say, well, I'm giving the local government tax dollars for property taxes, but I only want it to go here and I only want it to go there. I don't want it to go to this place. You don't have that luxury of being able to do that. And the thing is, if you have someone and they're sending tax dollars, if someone is sending tax dollars and you have to pay that has them looking for another job, and so you continue to say, well, you know, I hate to be the one to say this, but they have a little bit of a drinking problem, and it kind of really cost them the last job they were at. But I'm sure they've gotten over it by now, and I'm sure there won't be any issues. And so what happens is that then your interview's done, the next person comes in, and they have a great interview. I mean, they actually do a better job than the first person. But they get a phone call then, and they say, well, you know, thank you for coming in for the interview, but we've decided to go a different direction. And so the person says, well, you know, thanks for giving me the opportunity, but I'm just curious, what was it that, you know, why was it that you chose to go another direction? Was it something that I said? Was it something on my resume? Was it just, you know, because I would just like to know so that as I move on looking for another job, I hopefully don't make the same mistake twice, and you know it's not going to cost me future employment. And they say, well, you know, as it turns out, we heard that you have had issues with drinking in the past, and that's what cost you your last job. This person's like, well, where did you hear that from? That couldn't be further from the truth. I've never ever been fired from a job for that reason. Well, now, of course, the person that conducted the interview feels bad for even saying anything. Well, what's going to happen now is, and what could happen, if it's determined that that first person purposely said what they did because they wanted that job so bad, the person that didn't get the job could say, well, you know what? If I would have got that job, I would have worked in that job for X number of years. There is the potential for me to have several promotions. With those promotions would have come an increase in pay and all these other things, an opportunity for maybe investments, starting a 401k plan, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to say, well, and now I don't have that opportunity. And why did I not have that opportunity? Because this person slandered me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to file a civil lawsuit against that person. And not only did they slander me, but they did a lot of emotional and mental damage, caused me a lot of mental anguish. And so I'm going to sue them for that. And so, well, I think that maybe $5-6 million is a good amount that that person should have to pay me. And the thing is now, is that person, you know, would it be really nice if they got the 5 or 6 million? Yes, it would. But they come up with that number knowing that the courts are probably going to say, well, maybe it might be more like 1 or 2, but still, you're still a millionaire now. You still are getting $1 to $2 million. And why? Because you knowingly made false statements about another person. The other exception to freedom of speech is what is called the clear and present danger rule. So if you knowingly say something that puts others in immediate danger, this is the clear and present danger rule. You know, in today's society, you never know when you could be someplace and there might be some type of attack or something like that. And let's say that you're one of those crazy Black Friday shoppers, and you're lining up at wherever it is, Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy. You got to get in there and you got to buy that new TV or that new computer or that new appliance or whatever the case is. And you know you're so far back in line that there's no way you're going to get in there in time for that. And so you're just thinking, well, I know a way that I can really clear things out. And so you yell something like, that that guy's got a gun, or something to that effect. And people just scatter. And in the process, people are getting knocked down, they're getting stepped on, they're getting injured, some maybe pretty bad. And all because you wanted to get up to the front of the line so badly. And you might be thinking, well, freedom of speech, I can say whatever I want. Not when you know what you're saying is not truthful, and because you said it, now people got hurt. So those are the two exceptions to freedom of speech. And then freedom of the press. The exception to freedom of the press is what is called libel. So libel is publishing falsehoods that damage another person's reputation. Um, so with libel, this could be something like putting a picture in a magazine or a newspaper and then just coming up with a caption. But what was really going on in the picture and what the caption says are two totally different things. You know, maybe there are some people, and it always happens, with famous people and entertainers, actors and actresses and singers, and uh, maybe they're out with some friends and they're out at a restaurant, and someone is making a toast, and so everyone raises their glass up and you have your glass raised, and you have a big smile on your face, or someone says something funny and you're laughing, and right about then some paparazzi takes a picture, and then there's this caption that you were at a restaurant, and you were really drunk or something like that, and that's not at all what had happened. And believe it or not, this has happened on numerous occasions, and there are people that have won huge settlements, 6, 7, $8 million settlements, because some newspaper or magazine was, really, they weren't concerned at all about damaging the person's reputation. They were just concerned about, if we put this picture on the front page of our newspaper, it's going to sell a lot of editions, and it's something that you just can't do. And then the last two are freedom of petition and freedom of assembly. And so freedom of assembly simply means that you can have a protest wherever you want. Here just last year you had these um, white supremacists that had this protest in Charlottesville, Virginia, and other people that were opposed to them showed up, and an individual ended up getting killed. But there's nothing illegal about people that are white supremacists, neo-Nazis, having a protest. If they get the proper paperwork filled out, they can do that. They can assemble in public. There's nothing illegal. I'm not saying that there's a lot of moralities behind it, but it's not illegal. And so to try to take that right away from someone, you just can't do it. Okay, this is brings to an end the second part of chapter 14, section 1.